Welcome to Module 2. Not all patches are the same, and not every patch should be handled the same way. In this section, we'll look at the different types of patches, from hotfixes to cumulative updates, and the unique challenges they bring. Along the way, we'll cover how to handle emergency, out-of-band updates, and how to use classification systems like critical, high, medium, and low to bring order to vulnerability management. By the end, you'll be ready to prioritize intelligently, apply patches with confidence, and make risk-based decisions that keep your system secure without overwhelming your team. Hotfixes, service packs, and cumulative updates each serve a different purpose, and each brings its own urgency, testing needs, and risks. Treating them all the same can waste effort or even create instability. By understanding these distinctions, organizations can tailor their patching process, deploying quickly when it matters most, and carefully when stability is on the line. A hotfix is a small, urgent patch for critical flaws, released outside normal cycles. Because attackers move fast, hotfixes require rapid deployment, but limited testing can cause instability. Mature programs balance speed with quick validation to keep systems secure and stable. A service pack is a bundled release that combines many updates into one package. These can include security fixes, bug corrections, performance improvements, and even new features. While more common in the past, especially with Windows and Office, service packs still matter for environments running older software. Because of their size and scope, service packs require extensive testing and are usually deployed during planned maintenance windows. The risk is that they can take hours to install and may significantly change system behavior, making thorough staging and validation critical. Cumulative updates are designed to simplify patching by rolling all previous fixes into a single package. Installing the latest update brings a system fully up to date, even if earlier patches were missed. Vendors like Microsoft increasingly use this approach for their operating systems. The benefit is consistency, reducing fragmentation and patch sprawl across environments. But there's also risk. Because cumulative updates include many changes, troubleshooting can be harder. If something breaks, administrators must isolate the issue within a large bundle of modifications. In Section 2.1, we explored the three main types of patches and why treating them all the same can create risk. Hotfixes are urgent, targeted fixes for critical issues, and they demand rapid deployment with minimal testing. Service packs are large bundles that may include security fixes, bug corrections, and even new features, requiring thorough staging and planned rollout. Cumulative updates simplify patching by combining all prior fixes into one package, ensuring consistency but making troubleshooting more complex if problems arise. By understanding these distinctions, organizations can tailor their patching strategies to balance speed, stability, and security. Not all vulnerabilities come from operating systems. Many exist deeper in hardware, like firmware and drivers, or higher in the applications users rely on every day. To fully understand patch management, we need to recognize that each of these layers, firmware, drivers, and applications, requires its own updates and carries unique risks if neglected. Firmware is the low-level code embedded in devices such as BIOS or UEFI chips, routers, storage controllers, printers, and IoT hardware. It serves as the bridge between hardware and the operating system. Ignoring firmware updates creates serious risk. Attackers can exploit these vulnerabilities to gain persistent access that survives reboots or even full system reinstalls. Updating firmware is not without challenges. Failed updates can disable or even brick devices. That's why many organizations delay these patches. The best practice is to maintain a detailed inventory of hardware and firmware versions, test updates in a safe environment, and ensure redundancy before deploying to production systems. Drivers are small software components that allow the operating system to communicate with hardware such as graphics cards, network adapters, and printers. When drivers are outdated, they can become prime targets for privilege escalation attacks. Updating them, however, brings its own challenges. New drivers may break compatibility with older hardware or applications. Best practice is to test critical driver updates in a controlled pilot group before broad deployment, and to rely on vendor-certified drivers whenever possible to reduce instability. Applications, from everyday web browsers to business-critical databases, are some of the most frequent targets for attackers. Vulnerable browsers or plugins often provide an easy entry point for malware, while flaws in business applications can expose sensitive data. Managing application patching comes with challenges. Many organizations still depend on legacy apps that are no longer updated, creating unavoidable risk. Best practice is to enable automatic updates for common software like browsers, and to build enterprise application updates into change management cycles, using vulnerability scans to identify outdated versions. Section 2.2 looks beyond the operating system to firmware, drivers, and applications, 3 areas attackers often exploit. Firmware flaws can give persistent access, outdated drivers can enable privilege escalation, and vulnerable applications often open the door to malware or data loss. Each brings challenges, from bricking risks to compatibility issues and unsupported legacy apps. The key is to maintain visibility, test updates carefully, and include all 3 layers in your patching strategy. Most vendors release patches on a predictable schedule. Microsoft's Patch Tuesday is the best-known example, but not every vulnerability can wait. When attackers are actively exploiting a flaw or the risk is especially severe, vendors issue out-of-band updates, sometimes called emergency fixes, to address the problem immediately. Attackers move fast when new vulnerabilities are disclosed. Exploit code can appear within days, sometimes hours, leaving defenders little time to react. Waiting for the next scheduled patch cycle is often too late. Out-of-band updates are the vendor's way of closing that gap, but they bring challenges: unexpected downtime, limited testing opportunities, and resource strain as IT teams scramble to respond. Effective programs plan ahead, building flexibility to deploy emergency fixes quickly without causing unnecessary disruption. To handle emergency patches effectively, organizations need structure. An emergency playbook should outline how to fast-track testing and deployment. Risk-based decisions ensure the most critical and exposed systems are patched first. Clear communication with business units helps reduce pushback when downtime is unavoidable. And automation tools can speed rollout, minimizing manual effort during high-pressure situations. In December 2021, the Log4j or Log4Shell vulnerability triggered a wave of out-of-band fixes. Organizations that deployed mitigations and emergency patches within days avoided compromise. Those that couldn't act quickly stayed exposed during one of the most aggressive exploitation campaigns in recent history. Section 2.3 focused on out-of-band updates, patches released outside normal schedules to close urgent security gaps. We saw how attackers often develop exploits within days of a vulnerability being disclosed, leaving no time to wait for the next patch cycle. OOB updates are essential but challenging, bringing risks like downtime, limited testing, and resource strain. Best practices include having an emergency playbook, prioritizing critical systems, communicating clearly with business units, and using automation to speed rollout. The Log4j vulnerability in 2021 showed how vital this is. Organizations that patched quickly avoided compromise, while slower responders faced widespread exposure. At first glance, the safest patching strategy seems simple: apply every patch the moment it's released. If vulnerabilities are doors for attackers, closing them all immediately looks like the best defense. But in real enterprise environments, this approach is neither practical nor risk-free. Limited resources, complex systems, and potential downtime mean patching must be prioritized, not rushed. Vendors release thousands of patches every year across operating systems, applications, drivers, and firmware. Microsoft alone delivers dozens each month. For organizations with thousands of systems, deploying every patch immediately would overwhelm IT teams, and patching isn't as simple as hitting install. Each update requires planning, testing, scheduling, and validation before it can be safely rolled out. Many patches require a system reboot or a service restart before they take effect. In critical environments, such as hospitals delivering patient care, financial platforms processing transactions, or industrial systems running production lines, even short interruptions can have serious consequences. If every patch were applied the moment it was released, organizations would experience frequent and unpredictable outages. Instead of improving security, this would undermine operations, erode trust, and in some cases put lives or business continuity at risk. Vendors do test their updates, but no vendor can account for the unique mix of custom apps, hardware, and configurations in every enterprise. When patches are deployed without proper validation, problems are common. Broken integrations, performance issues, or even full system crashes. In some cases, the patch itself has created more risk than the vulnerability it was meant to fix. That's why structured testing and staged deployment are critical steps in any patch management process. IT teams operate with limited staff and budget. When every patch is treated as equally urgent, resources get stretched too thin. This constant pressure leads to fatigue and mistakes, misconfigurations, incomplete deployments, or systems left half-patched with hidden vulnerabilities. Over time, the reactive pace doesn't just weaken security, it also burns out technical staff and drives turnover, leaving organizations even less prepared for future threats. Not every system can be patched. Many organizations still depend on legacy applications or outdated operating systems that can't accept modern updates without breaking functionality. For these assets, compensating controls like network segmentation, strict access limits, or intrusion detection become the only viable defenses. A blanket patch everything immediately approach ignores these realities and risks disrupting critical business operations. Organizations that focus only on patching speed risk, overlooking the quality of their deployments. A rushed rollout may leave gaps, with some systems failing to update correctly or reverting to older versions that reintroduce vulnerabilities. Leaders may believe the company is fully protected because patches were applied quickly, but in reality, hidden exposures remain. True security comes from both speed and accuracy. Real-world incidents highlight the risks of prioritizing speed over balance. One financial institution adopted a strict rule requiring all patches within 72 hours. On paper, compliance looked excellent, but in practice, rushed deployments led to outages across critical systems when poorly tested updates disrupted operations. The cost of recovery far exceeded the supposed security gains, proving that speed without strategy can backfire. The goal of patch management isn't to apply every patch instantly, but to patch the right things at the right time. Critical vulnerabilities, especially those under active attack, need fast action. Less urgent updates fit into maintenance cycles, and legacy systems may require compensating controls. Patch everything immediately is a slogan, not a strategy. It ignores patch volume, business needs, and resource limits. Mature programs prioritize intelligently, fixing the most dangerous flaws first while keeping systems stable. Tools like Patch Plan make these risk-based decisions practical and repeatable. Section 2.4 shows that patching goes beyond operating systems. Firmware, drivers, and applications all carry unique risks if neglected: persistent access, privilege escalation, or malware entry points. These layers add complexity. Firmware updates can brick devices, drivers may break compatibility, and some apps lack vendor support. Best practice is to track versions, test updates carefully, and use compensating controls when needed. Including these assets in patch management closes gaps attackers often exploit and strengthens resilience.